Yeah. Good day, everyone. You are welcome to the class. My name is Dr. Oni Olubumilea. I'm your facilitator for ECE232, titled Observation, Recording and Assessment of Early Childhood Education. I believe you really enjoyed the topic 1 that we treated and some times ago, and I want to assure you that this topic 2 you are going to enjoy it maximally. So you are all welcome. Now let's go to the class. You are once again welcome back to the class. We want to look at topic 2 today, and you could remember in the topic 1 we discussed about overview of early childhood education, and thereby I told you that early childhood have been neglected for so long in Nigeria. And in that lesson I told you about the definition of early childhood and the purposes of establishing early childhood in Nigeria, and so on and so forth. And today we are going to look at a concept of anecdotal record. We want to look at a concept of anecdotal record, and here the objectives we want to achieve today. There are 5 objectives. Number 1, we want to define anecdotal record. We want to look at uses of anecdotal record, and we want to look at characteristics of anecdotal record, and we want to look at limitation of anecdotal record, and lastly, before we close for today, we want to look at advantages of anecdotal record. Now, if you could remember what we did last in the first topic, in the first lesson, you know, we discussed about the types of observational tools. I told you about 3 types. Can you remember? Can you remind me? Okay, let me help you a bit. You know, I mentioned checklist, I mentioned rating scales, and I mentioned anecdotal record. That those are the vital instruments. Those are the types of observational tools that we normally use in the school. Now, if you look at this example of anecdotal record, look at the picture. What can you see in this picture? You can see some notes. Some things written in those notes, and you know, it's talking about. He's trying to portray about the meaning of anecdotal record. An anecdotal record is an observation that is written like a short story. Now look at another picture. Can you see it? That is another anecdotal record. In that anecdotal record, you know, I told you whereby you are going to write a short story. You know, in that anecdotal record note, what are those things that you are expected to see there? You are to see the observer, that is the person that actually observed the student. You are going to see the observation observation scale being used. Then you want to see the name, the date of that the observation took place, then the time, the actual time. Then what are you tell us the short thing that is short. You write something about what you actually observed about that student. So all those things will be in that record. Look at another example of anecdotal record. Can you see? Guided reading anecdotal notes. Can you see it there? So we use anecdotal record to correct so many things, even at the elementary school. Even it's being used also in the primary school. Now let's go to the objective 1 now. What is anecdotal record? Just look at this. I mean, having seen those pictures, anecdotal record can be defined as an observational system which gives brief accounts of the event or behavior at a specific time. You know, it is qualitative in nature. So now we have a good anecdotal record should possess some qualities. And what are those qualities? Number 1, the specific event, that is what actually happened, have to be recorded in that anecdotal. You know, what has actually happened. For instance, a child that has been that has not been participating well in the class, has not been writing well, others are writing, has not been answering questions, has not been interacting well, and you have been taking note of such attributes in that child for some time, you have to write it down, put it the time, the date, and to see the frequency of the occurrence of the behavior the child has been exhibiting. Then that is one of the quality of that anecdotal record possesses. Then another one is the record should provide a factual description of the specific behavior, that actual behavior that the child exhibited at that point of time, at that particular point of time, has to be well described, so that anybody that just lay hand on that anecdotal record, we actually see what has been taking place, what has been written as concerning the child. And the third one is the interpretation of the behavior and the recommendation. What has the teacher recommended? Seeing a child not writing for long in the class, you understand? So it's not the time that the child fails that we start blaming, but you look at the record of what has been written concerning the child. Maybe on Tuesday, the first week of resumption, he didn't write, the third day he didn't bring biro, and so on and so forth. So you can trace the failure down to that. Can you see how helpful an anecdotal record is? Now let's look at the uses of an anecdotal record. What are the uses? We have 3 uses. Number 1, the information is used for guidance and counseling. Anybody that just lay hands on that record will be able to use it for counseling, to counsel the child, to call the child to order. Then another uses of an anecdotal record is directing children to the areas where they will be performing better, and studying special children. That some children, all children are not the same, so there are some children we can term them to be special children. We know how to relate with them, how to go about helping them academically. Then another usefulness of an anecdotal record is give us qualitative information, but don't forget that it's so time consuming in preparing. So another one, a good anecdotal record should possess the following characteristics. What are those characteristics? Very, very straightforward. Number 1, it should be a factual description. Go to specific. It should be a specific thing, an event that has taken place. So it should be so factual when you are describing it. That is one of the characteristics. Another characteristic is the specific incident or event should be significant to the growth and development. That is why we say it is a well-trained observer, that we know what he goes out to observe. Anybody that is not trained may not know the actual thing that he wanted to look at, and the actual thing that he's looking for. So it's the one of the characteristics is that the specific event should be significant to the growth and development of the child. Then another characteristic is that interpretation of events and recommendation should be separated from the behavior described. And then an anecdotal record should contain a record of a single event. It should not contain explanation or judgment. So it should not contain the judgment, what judgment the teacher passed and whatever, but let every detail of the behavior the child exhibited, let it be properly documented. Then let's look at the following guide rules. There are guidelines that are useful for the preparation and for an anecdotal record, for effective use of an anecdotal record. Number 1, the observed behavior, whether positive or negative. You look at it. You look at that behavior. Is it positive? Is it negative? Then another one, the observer should separate evaluation, or interpretation. Then another one, the event should be recorded as soon as it occurs. If you do not record it as soon as it occurs, you can forget easily. So that is it. Then another one is that observer should be trained. I told you that it's not everybody that can go about observing children. particularly when it comes to recording it in anadota, you understand. So because it's you that actually know the attributes that you are looking for, but anybody that is not trained may not know what to look for. So and so on and so forth. Yes, there are limitations. Let me just mention two of it. An anadota record does not reveal causes of behavior. It doesn't recall the causes. A child can behave the way it behaves, but it will know another record will never show us what actually caused it. You understand? Then another one, it is very difficult to obtain adequate measure of a child's behavior, and so on and so forth. We have many of it. Then let's look at the advantages before we round up for today. It is very flexible. It's a flexible tool for data collection. Then it is useful for observing children who cannot write, children who cannot communicate easily. Anadota record will be very, very, very useful for them. Let's quickly recap what we have done in lesson 2. Today we have done definition of anadota record. We have already stated the uses of anadota record, and then the characteristics of anadota record, and how to prepare it. Let me just give you an assignment before we go. You can do it on your own, in your own view. Still identify more uses of anadota record in your school. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where we are going to draw the curtain for today's lecture, and I believe that you have actually enjoyed lesson 2. Therefore, we will still meet again. Thank you, and God bless you.